work on the ranch, spend time with the animals, and just unplug and listen to God. And I love that.
Well, I hope you had a good Father's Day.
I
Happy
did.
Father's Day.
Thank you. Thank you. Our friend General Flynn wished me a happy Father's Day, too. Got a lot of happy Father's Day texts yesterday, so good stuff.
Good. And I'm glad you did. I'm glad all the fathers out there that I know will be watching this. I want you to know happy Father's Day. God bless you. And just keep moving on. God is winning, and we are on the winning side. And it's very exciting because God is about to pick it up another notch, and our enemies will not be able to stop it. What God is doing. It's very exciting to see how he's exposing everything. And he's giving me even more and more prophecies that are revealing what the enemies are up to. So I think it's really interesting, all the things that he's saying right now and all the things he's already confirmed. So I can't wait to hear the confirmations about it again today, because it always happens when we're on here together.
It does. And I got this magnificent letter that was directed to me, but it has to do with you as well. This 92-year-old man, he spends every Wednesdays watching us together, and he has his final words, final 600 words that he wants to give as a legacy. He was served in the Korean naval. He's a Korean naval veteran on the USS Logan. Amazing man. He says, at the end, I watch you and Julie Green every Wednesday. We win. So when we come out of the first break, I'm going to read the 600 pages before we kick back off, just as a tribute to Charles. His name is Charles Baker. I love the letter.
Well, hi, Charles. God bless you. And I'm so glad you watch. And I just hope that God blesses everything you put your hand onto. And thank you for serving our country.
Yes, and when I read the letter, I felt the Holy Spirit come down, and this was like an Ecclesiastes. You go through your whole life, 92 years, and what's the most important thing? And I believe Charles touches that. It's Jesus, 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 Jesus. That's what we're here for. We're not here for Julie Green. We're not here for Pastor Dave. We're here for him, his glory.
That's right. We are here for him. And that's the reason why we say this all the time. I say it on my live show every day. I also say it, when we're at events and stuff. And we're hosting our event that will happen here in a couple of days, the Holy Ghost and Fire event here on Friday and Saturday. And we always say it's not our event. We may be hosting it, but it is God's event. He is the one who's putting on the show. He is the one who's going to have a move of God. It's his decision. Anything he wants, it's going to happen. We said we are not putting you in a box. Everything you want to do, just do it through us, Father God. We are willing vessels. And all what we care about truly in this ministry is seeing God's people set free. That is like one of the biggest things on my heart. A person being held in captivity physically and mentally for a very long time, struggling with certain things for a very long time, had no way out, it didn't seem like, and no light at the end of that tunnel. And, when you are suicidal and depressed and you just go through all these different things, and then God turns it around. And that's why I said turn every test into a testimony. And it has been. And there's so many things that God has used me for and used you for and everybody for such a time as this. We didn't go through these things. That Satan wanted to end us through these things. Yep. We went through these things and it made us stronger. And because it made us stronger, it makes us very humble, first of all. And when you're being used by God, you don't get a big head about it when you go through tests and trials and persecution the way we have. And it keeps us at that point where it's not us. It's all God. I make that a point to parents all the time. It is not us. Don't put us on a pedestal. We are just human beings. We make mistakes still, but God is the one to put all of your intention to, have that firm, focused foundation on him. There's a lot of good things happening, a lot of moves of God. I'm expecting more miracle signs and wonders in this time that we're living in. If the enemies are ramping things up, God is ramping it up even more, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, he's moving. He's in charge. And as you said, when you go through the trials and tribulations that we've gone through, it's you're humbled quick. It's all about his purpose and his glory, because none of the things that are happening I could do in my natural self. He gets all the glory. And I don't want the glory. He deserves the glory. And it's a lot better being a servant to him, because when you try to put the glory on yourself, the Father's going to take you to the woodshed. You're going to get adjusted. And, I'm past that in my life. I want my title when I go home is servant. And all I want to hear is, well done, my faithful servant. That's it.
I tell him that all the time. I just want to hear well done, my good and faithful servant. That's all I want, because all I want for my life is his will. Because if it was my own, it would have been a lot different than what it is now. I had no idea I was going to be called and no idea. Going through all these struggles, I didn't want to be here. I thought it'd be easier just to be in heaven, and I didn't want to deal with this stuff. And realizing what God had me here for was something, obviously, to bring people closer to him. That's what he wants. He wants a greater family, greater fellowship. He wants people to know him and not a version of him and not through man-made doctrines and religious tradition. He wants people to know his name. He wants people to know his names, because there are several names he has. He wants people to know his word. This is a time of freedom, not a time of restraint, not a time of bondage like our enemies want. This truly is a time of freedom. And if we start knowing more about God, the more we know about him, the more freedom we will receive. And so that's what we just try to do on a daily basis, is just encourage people, show them God's word, show them his names and who he really is, in order for people to have that firm focus foundation on the Father. And so they're not just so consumed on their daily life, because your enemy wants you to focus on everything that's wrong instead of everything that God has done that is right. And so we're just trying to get that focus back on him instead of the focus that the enemy wants through their brainwashing and propaganda, fear mongering, everything they try to do to get you to stop thinking about God. The enemy is really out right now trying to get people in fear. And just like over the weekend, they tried so hard to bring in so many worse riots than they got. They did not get what they wanted. They wanted like LA and all these different cities, and it didn't happen. God said they would try, but God said that they would not be fully successful. And they weren't.
No, they weren't.
We saw like 20 to 30 people walking on a bridge from Iowa to Illinois. There were 3 people in our hometown, 3 people at a park that were doing this, this protest. It just was like a nothing burger. Yeah. And they tried to bring in fear. They tried to bring in all these different things. But God is not allowing. God is allowing them to start certain things, but he's not allowing them to finish it. And we're going to find out who paid those rioters, who paid for all this mayhem. Again, they failed. They're going to try other stuff. God said they would, but they're going to lose at everything they're doing.
Yes. That's what I was told this weekend too. One of the biggest stops of this, obviously God gets the glory. He's the one that stopped a lot of this, but a lot of reports that because there was so much light, people talking about it and exposing what these events, that these things, so cockroaches didn't come out into the light. They were afraid of the light. So these were, like you said, nothing burgers. And I'm told there was a couple near misses that God stepped in and interceded for. And so you had that on top of what was happening in Israel and Iran, where many thought that the Ayatollah would send a message to these terror cells. I'm told Hezbollah and Hamas did not respond. So whether the communication was not stopped or not yet, I don't know. But there's conflicting information on the Ayatollah. I've heard from sources that he may be dead, that they've took him out. I've heard that he could be in Russia, but I do know he's on the run, and he's petrified. A lot of his top leadership has been taken out. Mossad was just blowing up cars left and right, and 120 drones they took out. So you're going to get some misinformation from sources here in the United States. Colonel McGregor made it look like it was more bleak than I think it is. My sources in Israel are now responding. When they go quiet, you know something's up. They went quiet for about 3 or 4 days. And I just finally heard from him yesterday. They're very optimistic. And one of them doesn't play poker very well. I mean, he does, but we're such good friends that he's not even trying. And then I think General Flynn, I watched what he did yesterday. He kind of put it right down the middle. Which is appropriate. And I think it's spot on, because Iran's going to give their propaganda. Israel's going to give their propaganda. And somewhere the truth is in the middle.
Yeah. And one of the things, I've had so many prophecies on Iran. I only have like 3 up, I think, right now. 3. There's too many of them to get up today. I didn't have enough time between the live show this morning and then getting up over here and doing this. And I had tons on Israel. God had been warning about the war that they were going to try to start in Israel, and the attack they were going to try to hit Israel with. He's also been warning Iran. And he said the same thing that happened to Pharaoh and the same thing that happened to his army will happen to Iran. He is going to knock them out. He's going to knock them at their knees. They are not going to survive what they're trying to do against Israel. What they really want for Israel is to wipe them off the face of this earth. They want to totally blow them up to smithereens. They want to occupy that nation and take it over. It's not going to happen. That is God's biblical territory. I know that there's way more of Israel than there actually is seen on a map. Biblical Israel is a lot bigger than what we see.
Yep.
But God's been warning Iran for a while. And this is, I want to read just a small part of this prophecy. Let me get this one up here. I think I still have them up. Hold on a minute. I think I still have this one up, or maybe the ones I have on, yeah, here it is. Nope, these are the ones on Israel. I don't know where all the ones I had on Iran up. I had all of these up. I don't know what happened. Anyway, I'll have to just read a couple on Israel. It says, your shadow government is still playing and working with Iran to bring death to America. So he is talking, this was from, hold on a minute. This was from May 2nd, 2025. He's talking about the shadow government in this country. And they were trying to bring death to America, but they're also trying to bring death to Israel. We know what God has said for a long time, that our shadow government is working with a foreign militia. One of the foreign militias they're working with is Iran. Iran, not only they were trying to kill this country, but Iran they were also going to use to try to assassinate President Trump. There were different things that they used with him, gave him instructions, pay them. I don't know exactly how it all worked. I just got the prophecy on that. But this is from, it says, judgment will hit Iran hard for invading and threatening Israel and the United States. Iran wanted death to both of my nations, and now they will see that I am the creator of heaven and earth. I will not only protect my nations, I will also avenge them, and vengeance will hit Iran, and the world will know that I still am the great I am. That is one. And again, that was May 2nd of 2025. This was before this conflict happened between Israel and Iran. There's another one that he gave me back. Let's see here. This one was farther out. October 5th of 2025. This one was about Israel. A lot of them is about Israel too, but I wish I had all of them. I wish I could get all of them up here for you because they are amazing what he is saying. Here's one he says about Iran. Watch Iran's next moves against my eagle. You will see the fall and fail against me. Watch what biblical type of events take place against them. Think of what happened with Egypt was left with them. Iran will be left with the same. All the money they have received from Washington is going to be ripped from their bloody hands with no way to stop the judgment that will hit them, says the Lord. So what they've tried to do against the United States of America, we haven't even heard it all. We don't even know all the things they've done against Israel, which we are going to hear. And because God mentioned what they've done to Israel, because they mentioned what they've done to the United States of America, he says Iran will have nothing left. Like he's basically saying, what they have tried to do to my country, I am wiping them out. And that's what he says. What Egypt was left with, they will have the same. So they will be taken away. Now, whatever it is with this nuclear power that they had, again, they're not going to be able to achieve that. What they were doing, because they had plans to wipe this country out, to wipe us out. Yep. They had planned to wipe out Israel.
Yep.
This is the reason why there was plans by the Israeli government and the IDF to do these strikes on Iran, because Iran was getting really close to doing something very, very destructive. They knew it. I just heard something, I think it was last night or this morning, how awesome it was. Israel was actually in the land of Iran without them knowing, I think with the drones or something. I just looked it up on the Gateway Pundit this morning. It was amazing how Israel built a secret drone army inside Iran that humiliated and crippled their nuclear program. That's only God that could do that. Yes, God uses people, but only God could have shielded them and protected them from Iran finding out that they were there and what they were up to.
Yep.
And how many leaders were taken out of Iran that Israel killed? I mean, it has been very, very successful. And it was funny, we've been praying against the enemies, against how they're neutralized against our country, how they're neutralized against Israel. We got article and article after article of people talking about that Iran is being neutralized. Their power is being neutralized and brought to nothing. So many people are praying that way, and we are saying, God intervene. This is amazing stuff that we're seeing right now between Israel and Iran. And don't believe everything you're hearing in the news. These chess moves, what God calls them, had to be made for not only protection of Israel, but for protection of the United States of America as well.
Exactly. And the fake news is right. You know, you got the CNNs of the world reporting one way, and you got the Lindsey Grahams. And when I was looking at even real military intel coming in yesterday, first of all, I'm wondering, who do they know? How are they truly getting this information? Because the people that are really, really, really close in this, they're not talking. You got to put the pieces together. And so I knew when my sources in Israel started communicating back yesterday like nothing was happening, I knew that was a very good sign, because that they wouldn't have done that. We were talking about dance recitals, not war.
Exactly. You know why? Because we are on the winning side. But one of the last words, one word I gave out this morning, one of the last paragraphs that the Lord said, I'll have to get this one out because this will be very interesting. I know you'll probably have your phone blow up after this goes live, but one of the things that God said in this prophetic word that I heard on June 8th is called proof of unprecedented amount of political crimes is soon to be released. He says here in this last paragraph, the establishment's most important and protected stashes and hunting holes are being discovered. There's only a few more moves that need to be made to finalize the full political reset. Mm-hmm. So he says it, I think, more than once in this prophecy. It's very important to know God's been saying, he's been using and referencing chess moves. And so he also has said earlier in this prophecy that there are things that his David, or AKA President Trump, has already in his possession, proof of certain things that the enemies may not know that he has, but he has not used it, but he will use it at the perfect time.
He does have that. And he's referencing it as the Trump card. And he's doing it in a way. There's actually a Trump card out there. And some speculate, is this the Trump card? Is this a comm? I'm told it is a comm, but it is a literally Trump card. The Trump card is the plan he had that you could get a gold card. If you spent $5 million, you could go to the front of the line to get your citizenship. And I think he's raised several $billion in that Trump, call it the Trump card. So he truthed that out. Was it Friday? He did Thursday or Friday of last week, saying the Trump card. But there's more. They got the information. I'm told 12 sitting senators are cooked in the squat. 12. We saw that outburst this weekend of the two Minnesota, one a House, one a senator of the state of Minnesota were killed, murdered. Mm-hmm. That ties to, the suspect that they caught had some very interesting things that they're tracking down in the Middle East and also Africa, and an NGO. And he was appointed by Walz, the governor of Minnesota, and they just got him. So he was just arrested. And a little birdie told me, look at the photo of the arrest. Is that police officers? Or is that something deeper that arrested him? So I'll have to do the research on that. But that's a significant thing. They're starting to panic and start to try to cover up their everything they can, or it's just pure anger because they suppose the reason he did this, the woman and the guy, the rep and the senator from Minnesota voted with the Republicans on a couple bills just recently, and they say that might have triggered him. But now the police are saying it was politically motivated. But there's the photo right there. People have to check that. Some say that may not all be special police officer. There might be special forces behind that as well. If so, there's something bigger there.
I was just saying that this morning, Monday morning's live show. This morning, I was just saying that to people because there was something that is very dirty. You got a Democrat killing two Democrats, and the motive behind it is, like you said, they voted with other people. I think not only was it a signal, like if anybody else starts voting a certain way, we're at a very critical time. We can't lose any of these things. If you vote a certain way, we're going to kill you. Because the establishment is right now very terrified. They need everybody on their side. I also think those two people probably knew something And again, they're connected to Tim Walz, just like you say. This was very, very politically motivated, but it was very strategic in their plan. I have a feeling that the intelligence community is going to be connected to this as well. He could have been an MK Ultra or another brainless soldier. That God said they had a lot of them out there that were doing and pulling off the assignments of the enemies. And again, these people that won't back off because they're totally under the control of the intelligence community. So they will do whatever they're told to do. We'll see what's going to happen, but there is a truth that will come out of how these people died and what the assignment was and who it came from.
Yeah, and there's significant amount of corporations, nonprofits. I tweeted that out over the weekend. That'll be part of the war report. I don't know them off the top of my head, but probably 30 different countries that are involved in this No Kings. So they're following the money back. They are now knowing who is funding this stuff, and there's a lot of panic from people. Those who scream the most should be very concerned because they got it all.
I have to read that one, actually. There's a prophecy out here that talked about CEOs and corporations that were connected to these uprisings. The Lord gave it to me back on the 12th. And this one is called "The Civil Unrest Your Enemies Are Trying to Start Will Soon Turn on Them." That was the prophecy title. It says, "For I, the Lord, am telling you, my children, your enemies are uprising. Their chaos filling the streets, the civil unrest they are so desperately trying to use to destroy your nation, to bring fear, to bring a war, and to bring down this great country. I have warned you of these days would come. I warned you your enemies will not go down without a fight. Just as they tried to use the Biden gate in the 2020 election to devour your nation once and for all. But it didn't work. So now they are using this to try another way. This too will come back on them and hit them and annihilate them instead. Your enemies that are paying their foreign militia to pull us all off. They will be caught red-handed. Follow the money, find the truth. High-profile, well-known D.C. politicians, governors, CEOs of major corporations will be exposed in their connection and funding this uprising. They want a summer of chaos, and chaos they will receive instead. Every strategy, tactic of war, and every plan, and will turn around and hit your enemies." So before I go on, then he specifically talks about Gavin Newsom, about how he was paid and what his involvement was with it. And then he also goes on and talks about Bill Gates. So he was another one that was involved with these uprisings and what we see in this country. And he was also paying along with George Soros.
Yeah, that's interesting about Bill Gates. I heard a couple things about Bill Gates over the weekend. One, I think it's public that he went to meet with Marco Rubio personally to try to get some of the funding back, and then I heard that he might be tied up a little bit, to say the least. He can't move. So I don't know what the truth of that. That's why you got to be really careful now, because there is so much misinformation out there. I mean, you just look at what happened in Israel and Iran. Every other tweet is like, Iran's destroying Israel. It's crazy. So just pray to God for wisdom and discernment, and not try to get ahead of it and say, oh, this is happening. Just let God. Let go, let God. Yeah. You know what? He's in charge.
That's right. There has been so many different prophecies on Bill Gates. I will read this part because he talks about his foundation, how he siphoned money through it to fund chaos. So I will read this part because this is the prophetic, obviously, of God. If you're hearing certain things on your end, I just want to give you what God is saying about him. Woe to Bill Gates. Woe to Bill Gates. You also have your dirty hands in this, and you will not go unpunished. The establishment cannot protect you. The globalists cannot protect you. Your money cannot protect you. Your foundation that you siphon money through to help fund this chaos. I will make sure that the world knows who you are as I rip all that money from you and destroy the foundation that you have built up for yourself and for the globalists. Your days of causing trouble in my nation are over, says the Lord. He's exposing, I don't know, to tell you the truth, how many times I've heard Bill Gates in prophecy, and Microsoft. He has really come down hard on Microsoft and what Microsoft is doing. It's not just, computers and not just technology. It is far more sinister and dark than that. And he is going to bring it down and expose it.
Well, Dr. Naomi Wolf has brought that up. She said from her sources or whatever, that the phase 3 of what they wanted to do to the world was Bill Gates and Microsoft through AI and drones and taking over and destroying humanity. COVID was just the warm up to the final phase, and the final phase is AI. And I believe, said specifically Bill Gates and Microsoft were behind this.
Well, that's prophetic, because that's what God's been saying for a very long time, that Microsoft and Bill Gates is behind a lot of these things because he is a globalist. That's one reason why God also warned about why he owns majority of land in this country and why it was so important, because of what they're doing with it. So there are things that he is doing. There are things that Microsoft is doing. There's things that the establishment, our government, is doing and using in ties to Bill Gates. Not just what happens in this country, but what's been happening around the world. Our country is connected to a lot of people that have a lot of money, and follow the money, find the truth, and that's exactly what God's revealing to us.
You know, it's even more disturbing. All of this is disturbing. This pure evil in our country, literally to destroy us. But we all thought naively, I think, that the George Soros and the Bill Gates were spending their billions of dollars to destroy us. That's bad. But now we're finding out they were using our money to destroy us. Our taxpayer dollars coming in, they smuggle it through NGOs, their foundations, a gazillion different ways to target Americans. So we're paying for our own destruction. Literally. That's
right. That is exactly right. I don't know how many prophecies that God said it. That's why he said he was ripping apart the tax system in this country. He was also going to have this full political reset because of how the House Representatives and the Senate and how the deep state has gotten so bad in this country. And they use our tax dollars against us. These are tax dollars against us to murder us. These are tax dollars against us to keep them in such a slavery and bondage. And they gave me another prophecy this morning, how he talked about taxation and how it funds the foreign militia that is here. And it overrides, it overburdens the system financially, and it tries to cripple us. There's so much to all of this. Money is huge, like you said. You think Bill Gates Foundation, he uses all of his money for good, blah, blah, blah. No, it's not. Our tax monies are going and being funneled through these front companies, what God says are front companies, and our taxpayer dollars are going to fund genocide and death to this country. And they have for a very long time. They're also the ones that are starting war. He talked about war racketeering. He talked about military budgets, and how military budgets have gone into starting these wars, funding these wars, also for what they were doing and hiding in other different nations. This goes so dark, so deep, so bad that we're going to find out how bad our government really is and what we were doing in other countries that were against this country, and we were paying for it. And now that same element that was destroying other countries and turning other countries over, like Ukraine, that element is doing that shadow government to President Trump. And that's what we've been in the last 8 years. So they've done it all different countries for regime change, but they've been doing it here in the United States as well. And there's a rogue element still to this day. The CIA was a part of those attacks on Russia without President Trump's approval. Did I give out last week to you the prophecy? I don't know if you're going to know this or not. I did have it highlighted. I think I did mention some of it, because sometimes I go through some of the prophecy and sometimes I don't go through it all. There was a prophecy that I gave out, and this was from the 7th. I heard 3 that day, and it was called "The CIA is one of the biggest threats against this nation." Yeah. And like I said, I don't remember if I read it all to you or not. This is one of the things. The CIA and all of its power, all of its dark, dirty secrets will come out on full display. Your CIA has had their hand in every treasonous act against this nation, assassinating of presidents and politicians, anyone who was a threat to them. They help steal elections. They are running and controlling social media, news outlets. They try to control every politician in the federal government in every single state, along with the governments across the globe. So he's not just talking about the CIA, how they have been affecting our nation and controlling politicians. They are also affecting other governments and how other nations are run. The CIA is very dark, very dirty, very evil, and we know that they are very deeply embedded in Ukraine. They're also helping Ukraine not only with the biolabs and bioweapons there to cause complete genocide, but their sex trafficking. I mean, the list goes on of the things that he said that they were connected to. So the CIA is one of the worst enemies against this country. One of the biggest threats against this country is the CIA.
Yeah.
And then he even says later on in this prophecy, they have more control than a sitting president does behind the scenes.
By far. That's why you remember back when Chuck Schumer made that comment on ABC News that, the intelligence agencies have 6 ways from Sunday to get back at you, meaning to President Trump. He was, for the first time in maybe his life, he was telling the truth. He knew that they have so much power that ultimately they were going to take President Trump out. But guess what? God had a different plan.
I did have a different plan.
Yep.
So, and I think I read some of these to you, but I have to read the one. I gotta read the one. I think it was I gave out this. Yeah, that gave out this morning of what he's really doing, of how the CIA and the FBI and what they're doing against President Trump, what they're doing against this country in general, but also something that the CIA and the FBI is a part of is hiding documents, hiding unclassified documents. God even says, and he gives locations for some of these.
Really?
He reveals, oh yes, he does. This is a really huge. I got to go back to the CIA one as well, but I wanted to read this one to you. So because I know sometimes we talk about so much, then we don't get to go over everything. Sometimes an hour and a half goes so fast. This is that proof of unprecedented amount of political crimes that's soon to be released. So he says, the establishment has various hiding places throughout your capital of where they've hidden not only classified documents, but they are hiding proof of unprecedented political crimes that they use to blackmail any puppet that will get out of line. So one of the things I was telling people this morning is not only do they have these servers that me and you have talked about because of what God has prophetically said about it, and then I saw naturally where this what this looked like and where it was. But God said they also have like the old version, the old way. They still have a paper trail. He says a major stash has been found, and I am leading my infiltrators to many more places your enemies never thought anyone would look. DC is a treasure mine of secrets stashed away of every single thing the establishment has accomplished or tried to accomplish is soon to be revealed. He talks about, these are the 4 places, or 5 places, I think, 5 or 6 places he mentions in here. First is the National Archives, has more hidden in that museum than anyone knows about, but it will soon be exposed. Then he mentions the Smithsonian. The Smithsonian National Museum has things stashed away by your enemies, particularly in the basement, that will bring many down in D.C. Then he says the third one is the National Library has more books than what you can see. Your enemies stash things very dear to them in buildings they protect ever so closely to the White House and the intelligence community if they needed them quickly. Then the fourth place is many important documents are hidden away in the CIA buildings that would crash the entire establishment in a day. The days of your enemies' hiding places being concealed are over. Classified documents, videos, emails, hard drives, photos, you name it. Proof on every puppet and every assignment and every plan against this nation in various places in D.C. that are being raided by me. Before I go on, because I know we have a commercial break here in a second, before I go on, I'll let you talk about this first if you want to add anything. And then once we go back from commercial break, I'll make sure I bring out the other places that he says these things are hidden in.
He didn't say the Kennedy Center, did he?
He has not mentioned it in this one, no.
Interesting. I think there's something there too. Smithsonian, I've heard that. There are a lot of secrets in the Smithsonian. CIA. Matter of fact, Creed and I were watching a movie this week. In the commercial, we'll figure out what movie that is. And when we were watching the movie, I was telling them, they're telling us what they're doing. And that was about a CIA deep state with hidden files, hidden secrets that nobody could get into until this one guy was outsmarted them and found it and brought down the deep state. So we'll have to check that out because it's tell us what they're doing. I'd like to put it in movies.
They've been doing this for a long time because we talked about Wag the Dog, which I still haven't seen yet. We talked about the movie Dave. We talked about Minority Report, Mission Impossible, all these different movies that they put things in that is so like blatantly obvious that they're doing certain things. Like we just watched one of the Mission Impossible movies because a new one came out, so we wanted to watch part 1 before we watched part 2. And it's amazing. how they put that, Tom Cruise put these masks on and he looks and sounds exactly like that person. I'm like, they do this stuff in real life. And it just amazes you how they can show up in these like high profile buildings. Like you could only be a CIA and you could only be a certain person to get in there. And somehow they have their fingerprints, they have their eyes, like everything they can get into in these buildings. And they go in there unnoticed because they wear such masks and have their voices the exact same. You couldn't tell the difference between one person and another.
Yeah, we have so much more technology than we could ever imagine they've showed us. I think I've told the story of a friend of mine who is a former general. He was, I think, number 3 at Area 51. I remember him. We were talking about the Bible, and I said, "Yeah, the Bible and science come into life. They can teleport a Diet Coke. It was a Coke can 60 feet. I think what a scientist said. So teleporting is now science. You can do it." And I'll never forget this. He looked at me like I was a Martian and said, "We've been teleporting people for years."
No way.
Yeah. So we have a lot more technology than anybody knows. Leslie was pulling my leg, but he doesn't pull my leg like that. He was being serious.
I have so many processes on Area 51. I have another one actually I think comes out tomorrow.
He was number 3 in command there.
Wow.
Yeah.
God said there's a lot of more Area 51 type of things than we realize in our country. It's not just one hidden place, there are multiple. People just only hear about that one, but there are more places that our government hides things from us, and it's more than just Area 51.
Yeah, arguably Area 51 is not the most sensitive. Some will say Wright-Patterson's more. And then the mountains in Wyoming are hidden a lot of things too.
Wyoming?
In Wyoming, yep. And then there's a spot in, I'm not going to say the name of it, but I believe it's in New Mexico. So there's quite a few top secret places.
I had a prophecy about somewhere in New Mexico, about a hidden place there.
That one I just heard about. I just heard about it maybe in the last 6 months.
Wow. Well, we'll see. I mean, it's all going to come out no matter what. But I want to get back to this prophecy because there was more of what he talked about where they're hiding things. So, of course, one of the ones was the CIA building. He says, judgment is raining down on your adversaries because the political storm has hit Washington, and it's growing in intensity. The winds of change are blowing, and your enemies have nothing to protect themselves with. Time is at hand to remove your enemies out of your land. Then he goes in and talks about Delaware. We've talked about Delaware before, but he talked about the University of Delaware. Most people knew that there was Biden had like 1,800 boxers or something like that hidden in the University of Delaware. That somehow, some way that nobody could get and access them to have them removed because they were protected from some law or whatever. This is what God says about it. Great exposure of what is hidden in the University of Delaware in those boxes the Biden hid there. Every single one of them and all the contents will be released. The Biden crime family secrets and the secrets of Joe Biden and Obama's 2 terms in the White House. Deals they made with terrorists, also China, Ukraine, and are in those boxes. Then he goes Joe Biden. So he mentions the Biden and he also mentions Joe Biden. Joe Biden was ordered to hide those boxes there to not only protect his family secrets, but the secrets that he and Obama were both a part of. Benghazi secrets, Operation Fast and Furious, design the organization of ISIS and the growth of the Arab Spring, the rise of Iran, the nuclear power, and the reason why they were allowed to have it. Explosive documents with proof that will bring down many in Washington. Then he goes on to say, Biden's stash will be revealed no matter who has protected it and where they have moved some since its discovery. So they have moved some of these things out of that building to hide the really, really, really bad stuff. But it doesn't matter because God is leading his people to it. What was hidden in Joe Biden's garage and Obama's precious hiding places in Chicago and Hawaii, some of his documents are still in Washington. Every person who was silenced to keep these documents safe, justice will be served. I thought this was very interesting because he talks about all these different things of what is in these boxes and why they're so very highly protected, because they were classified documents and apparently is classified documents of treason. This is what is in these boxes in the University of Delaware. It is treason on what those 2 did. Not only Biden and his family, but Obama and what Obama did and what Biden and Obama did together. Then he goes on to say, There are some of Obama and Biden they thought they got rid of, but those people are not dead. So some people apparently were killed to keep some of these documents hidden. He said, but they're not at all, but protected from the establishment. These whistleblowers, once thought to have been killed by the intelligence community, were not, and their voices will soon be heard. So I don't know who they were. He doesn't give out names. He doesn't give out even what information they heard about Obama or Biden, but he's saying that there are people that they thought they had killed that they did not have killed that are soon going to come out and sing like canaries.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So there are things that they think it looks one way when it's really another. God has had people inside infiltrating the enemy's camp. He has protected certain people. He protected certain people for a reason. There are many people that the establishment, not just Obama and Biden, there are people that establishment they thought they killed, did not kill at all. It looks that way, but they're not. They are protected, and at some point when the time is ready, they will come out and reveal themselves as still being alive.
Interesting. I think I mentioned last Wednesday that I was going to interview Malik Obama, Barack Obama's brother. I did. Mm-hmm. That'll be coming out this week. Interesting part to that. One of the key parts of what he said in the interview, and I'm not going to spill it all. He said that his brother was a puppet. He believed that Barack was a puppet and Joe Biden was a puppet, that somebody bit way bigger up. And I think he used the word he used the word cabal is running them.
Mm-hmm. That would be what God said the big fish were. The architects, the big fish, the ones, he said that these people have been puppets. Now, Obama is like the main leading puppet. You know, he's the one that they use the most. He's the one that controls the other puppets, basically. It is the secret societies. It is the Illuminati, the Bilderbergs, all of them. They're the ones who control what happens in Washington. People like George Soros and Bill Gates and people like part of the WEF. These people, like Klaus Schwab, they're the ones that control these governments. It is not the fact that you see a sitting president. It's not even the fact that you see these. We know the CIA is one of the biggest threats. God didn't say it was the biggest. The biggest is these secret societies, the Illuminatis, the Bilderbergs, the Trilateral Commission, Skull and Bones. These people who are like, especially one reason why he talks about the Illuminati a lot is because they run Hollywood, and Hollywood has a really big part to play in Washington, D.C. God calls these people who run the politicians in Washington, he calls them the puppet masters. And he said that their strings have been cut.
Interesting.
So that probably a year or two ago, I think, he's been talking about puppet masters and the puppets. And so what Malik said regarding him as being a puppet and Biden as being a puppet is 100% is what God has been saying prophetically.
I think there's something still in Kenya, too, that is going to be damaging to President Obama.
Mm-hmm. It is going to reveal, first and foremost, what God said. He's an illegitimate president. Obama was an illegitimate president. Everyone knows that Biden was an illegitimate president, but people don't focus on Obama. And God said there has been several illegitimate presidents. He's also gone after the Bush family and the Clintons and all these other ones. And the reason why is, again, if you have people think and they only pay attention to 2020 being stolen. We have had organized and stolen elections year after year after year after year. The ones I know for sure that were not stolen, Ronald Reagan's and President Trump's.
Mm-hmm.
Those are for sure the ones I know, like they didn't get away with it. But there's so many, he said, we don't realize how many illegitimate presidents there has been. Because the people have been voting for the establishment. They have not been voting for somebody it looked like they were voting for. I heard more on Bush this morning, again. He's gone really after him, the oil industry, his connections to the to the secret societies, and his part in 9/11. He went after 9/11 again, and saying those 9/11 is going to come out, and it was going to come out with vengeance against these people. We're going to find out why those buildings were brought down, basically, what was hiding in them, and also why they wanted to start this war and what they were using this war for. And they were using this war for is to bring total unrest, not only in our country and different countries, but they were trying to bring in this global government, or the AKA the Great Reset. So they had many different pieces to this puzzle, and we're going to find out what George Bush had with connections to Saudi Arabia, and the sheiks that were there. It had something to do with oil. Oil is a huge key when it came to this thing. And one of the things that were going on in the World Trade Center that they had to destroy the evidence of, and they didn't care how many people died or not. It's really sad to find out that your government was after you. The government doesn't care who are the innocent victims that will not survive these attacks, but they also had other ones attacked. But we will find out how bad him and his father both were, the Bushes. And of course, we're going to find out what's really happened with Hillary and Bill, and how Hillary was running more of the show in the White House than Bill was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No question. He was.
She was more of the president, that he was just one they used because the United States wasn't ready to hire or ready to elect a woman. But she was Saul Alinsky's puppet.
Yep.
She was Saul Alinsky's student. She knew that book that Saul gave her in and out. They wanted her. They just used Bill because people would like him and he'd be more acceptable in the spotlight.
Yeah, he's more charismatic. Interesting about Bush, because I wrote this down before you even started going into that prophetic word. Do you remember Face the Nation? I think it was Tim Russert caught W off guard and asked him about Skull and Bones. And George W. is like, you could tell he was caught off guard and he didn't want to answer it. Well, Tim Russert died like a week or two later after that interview. Coincidence.
Wait, he asked him about Skull and Bones on national TV?
Yep. And George Bush kind of was uncomfortable and kind of laughed it off. There's videos of it. That are out there. I just saw the video not too long ago again. George W., his part of 9/11 will come out. And remember, Building 7 fell before the other ones, and nobody ever talks about Building 7. And that's where the CIA had all their stuff, was in Building 7. And I think last week...
the CIA?
CIA had a whole floor in Building 7.
So the crossover this morning talks about 9/11 and talks about something important in Building 7.
Huge. They got it out before they took it down.
God said they were destroying a lot of these things, and a lot of these wildfires and all these things that are going on, they're burning things, they're hiding things. They are doing something. Again, they're trying to cause civil unrest, they're trying to cause chaos, they're trying to cause distractions and diversions. We have to realize when people are looking like at LA rioters, that were right after that President Trump had talked about how Biden was executed in 2020, and they were trying to bring that diversion there. Why? Why didn't they go after him? Why did they try to pull like a 25th Amendment on him? What? Because they can't. Because if he said it, then there means that he knows the truth and he can prove what he just said. He can back it up.
Yep. They're panicking.
They are 100% panicking.
Yeah. And just, again, praise God that I honestly thought at least something big would have happened this weekend, and praise God that nothing happened, because it was at the highest level. And only two things. First of all, God stepped in, and second of all, so much light was put on these people that many of them were afraid to go out and into the light and be exposed. That's why they didn't come out like they thought they were going to come out, even being paid.
And not only they paid, they were equipped. We saw that there were people that pulled up and we're equipping them with like a face mask and all those different kind of things. God is going to reveal. Again, he said they fell into every trap that he had set for them. There's a prophecy that I gave out the 12th that I was reading to you. Part of it, how they paid for it, and he was allowing them to do certain things in order for them to be exposed. So he allows certain things that happen in LA, which is just going to bring back and show who all paid for it and who all equipped these people. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of people in Washington, D.C., and Gavin Newsom is one of the people. He is going to get in so much trouble for how he got paid for doing this, not only for the riots to happen and allowing them to happen and why they allowed them to happen, but also for the fires that were started in Los Angeles. And one reason why they are trying so desperately to destroy Los Angeles, and how Los Angeles was basically a guinea pig to what they were going to try to do in all these major cities that were across the country.
Yeah. Wow.
They have a lot going on. And Gavin Newsom is not going to last much longer without being completely exposed.
No, he's not. And did you know that there was a Bilderberg conference over the weekend?
No.
No, and somehow
Where was that?
It was here in the United States somewhere. I can't remember where it was. I think we tweeted it out. But part of the agenda got leaked. And if it's true, which it looks like it's true, it was rioting and depopulation were two of the agenda items for the Bilderberg meeting.
Do you know what God's been talking about with the enemy's pet plan? Riots and depopulation. He also called it genocide because he said, remember, for the last 2 or 3 years, 4 years, been on here talking about this, they were causing and trying to plant more bioweapons and release something that was far worse than COVID, but they also wanted to do 9/11 style attacks worse than 9/11 because they wanted to do it in several different cities across the United States at one time. So they're trying to bring riots to bring instability and civil chaos and social unrest. They're trying to break our cities, but also destroy our country from within. They're trying to cause a great division and a great diversion. They are up to no good. There is a foreign militia here that is paid to do something. That's the reason why Hollywood is fighting for them to stay here, because this is part of the globalist plan to use these foreign militia, all of these millions and millions of people that they have here, in order to bring our country down financially, socially, in every way it can, because they have to bring this country down in order to bring in this global currency and global government.
That's right.
That's why they're trying to protect these people.
General Flynn tweeted that out, I think, yesterday. Tens of thousands of Chinese-age military people are here in the United States. They're in Canada, too. Who's it? Arthur Pawlowski was telling me, Barry Wunsch was telling me, and we know some Canadian generals, that there's upwards of 100,000 CCP troops in Canada. And we're naive to it. They're at our northern border. They're surrounding us. And why would they want to have farmland next to our military? Many concerned about drone attacks popping up out of the ground next to these bases. Another friend of mine that's really in the know said her biggest fear is these drones being weaponized with bioweapons that just go up and shoot these gases off, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. How do you stop a drone?
Exactly. You ever seen Red Dawn?
Yeah.
Now, they had an old version and a newer version of it. I haven't seen the old version. I've seen the new one. And that's something that will hit you, because you know why? They did an airstrike. It was kind of like what Hamas did with Israel. They did an air, and they also got in by land. And so what they did, they took over the entire country. And so we have to be aware that they are signaling, and they're doing these things to just, again, destroy our country. China, we know, has been embedded into our government for a very long time. God just gave me a prophecy about Eric Swalwell again, his connection to China, what intel he was been giving to China, because he's been giving intel when he was slept with Fang Fang. It wasn't just like he was sleeping with a spy. There was a reason for them to get together, and there was things that she got from him. There's the things that he gave her, security, or whatever, his financials, whatever it was, that he gave them. China has been working with our government, or the deep state, for a very long time. China has plans with the government. The government has plans with China. They're both going to. China is going to backstab the establishment. The establishment's going to backstab China. It's not going to go the way they want to go. The enemies are going to turn on each other. But China wants to take over this country. The establishment has been using China to help bring down President Trump and the really strength of this country, the patriotism, the love of this country, our freedoms, and of course they're trying to destroy us militarily. That's the reason why, like Obama, when he got in here, he weakened our military back down to like World War II size. And you have Biden even make it worse, where a lot of people had to leave because of them not getting the shot. Now, I do know people who got out and retired during that time that have gotten back in since President Trump was allowing them back in if they didn't get the vaccines. They were trying to weaken us in every single way possible. But God said that he was going to hit China like he did the land of Egypt in the book of Exodus. China is going to get hit. Not only financially, they're going to get hit in every way they possibly can. China is going down. They'll go down very, very hard. There's a lot of judgment that's going to hit China for what they have done to this country and what they're trying to do to Israel.
Yep.
It's going to get ugly.
Just think how close they were to pulling this off. You mentioned with Biden and COVID-19 and the jabs. We've talked about the 5G aspect of that. They could have turned a switch on 5G and wiped people completely out. Dr. Pittard warned about that. And ultimately, I think that it's not my words, his words. He said he was poisoned because what he knew. And he said they're going to activate the 5G with all the stuff, the vaccines in people, and it would be the death blow. Millions would die. We took our best soldiers, and I interviewed many of them on His Glory, lieutenant colonels of the Marines that have been in there for 18, 19 years, and said, you're going to be dishonorably discharged unless you take the jab. And they said they wouldn't take the jab. They were going to dishonorably discharge them. That means their careers were gone, done. No pension. They could never get a job in the world anymore once you got a dishonorable discharge. These are our best soldiers they were doing to this. Why didn't anybody stop them? Or did they?
There are so many things going on that we are not aware of.
Yep.
How many prophetic words that God says that our military was on the move. And we don't know all the plans. We haven't seen everything that's happening. That's why he said that things are not how they appear to be. And we're supposed to walk by faith and not by sight, and not trying to guess everything that's going on. We're just supposed to be asking God, what do you want me to do? Yep. What is my plan? What is my, your purpose in my life for me? And what I can do to help? I mean, that's what we're supposed to be focusing on, because each and every one of us have a part to play in this. We need, as a body of Christ, to come together. And we've said before, time and time again, the enemy is really trying to divide the body of Christ for a reason, because the body of Christ needs to be on the front line. We can't be on the front line if we're fighting amongst each other.
That's right. Yeah, that's what Satan fears the most, is the unity in the body, and it's coming. It's coming. It's here. Breakthroughs on the horizon. It's going to get bumpier before it gets there, but they're going to get something off. There's no question about it. They're going to get something off. But whatever happens, it was going to be much, much bigger, and it's going to boomerang and light winds, and we're going to see the greatest revival in the history of the world. It's coming.
Because just like when, he said they were going to try to fill the straits. I don't know how many prophecies. I can't get them all out right now. But he said they would not get what they so desired. And if you read in the scriptures, I was giving tons of scriptures this morning about how the plans of the enemy fail, and how he scatters the enemy, how he defeats the enemy and saves us. God is moving them out of the way. Mm-hmm. They can sit there and try to be loud all they want. Just like Goliath was loud. He was a bully. He came out and he tried to paralyze the Israelites in fear. They were trying to paralyze us with fear. They were trying to look at like they had more number than us. They wanted these riots and these protests as big as they were. Remember back in 2020 when they had all those women wearing those pink horrible hats that I will not say what they were, but what they represented? I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of people everywhere. These were not that. They wanted to the enemies were planning on having these riots that big as they back were in 2020, yep, but bigger. They wanted Los Angeles to be like Minnesota. They wanted, a city completely burned down and destroyed. There are so many things that they are doing right now, and God said every move that they make, the more they're persistent, the more they go with their plans, and the more they're going in this direction, the more that God is exposing them, the more they will fail. Their power is being neutralized. They're being brought to nothing. And as they try to persist and against us, the more they're going to start turning on each other because of the fear and the confusion, the chaos, or disarray that God caused it all the time. They're experiencing, like you said, they are panicking. Everywhere they turn, they're losing something.
Yeah. Yeah, part of that's following the money. The pink hats, are you talking about? Is that part of Code Pink? Wasn't that Code Pink that was behind that? It
was a women's march, and it was a female body part that they were wearing on their heads.
Yeah, wasn't Code Pink part of that?
It might have been, might have been Code.
Yeah. So just this last week, they tied money back to Code Pink's founder and the billionaire that was working with the CCP to funnel money into all these riots. It's all connected. That's the key component we didn't have the first time, is following this money. And another thing, whether you like Elon Musk or not, I think he's good and may go bad. But if we wouldn't have had X during this last few weeks and months, it would have been a lot worse. Remember, they suppressed all that during the first summer of love. So the fake news controlled the whatever media. X would shut people down for telling the truth. I think that's another reason when light went out is people were taking, you have people like Laura Loomer that were doing research and studying the money back, putting it out, and people are getting educated. So that was a big difference.
It was a big difference. And I still see what I see with Elon. I think he's doing good things, because God can use anybody. I still see him as that black snake that I see on his face. Every time I look at him, I can't help but see it. And a snake is a representative of a deceiver. He can turn around still. And I'm not saying that I believe that everything he's doing was wrong. But there is something about him. Why the Lord keeps revealing this to me, there is something about it we have to pray about. And so he is doing things, it looks like for a very good reason, but it also could be to benefit himself as well, to take out his, opponents. Not just for this country, but for actually to better himself with AI and with what he has planned with SpaceX and whatever he's doing. But God can turn somebody around. I'm not going to give up hope. It's just, when he gives me that discernment like that, I can't take it lightly. And people have been asking this whole feud between him and Trump. Whether it's fake or whether it's real, it doesn't really matter. I think it's probably fake because it happened and blew up so fast and so quickly. I don't believe Trump can do certain things. Because I think apparently he's having a little tiff with Tucker Carlson too, which is, I don't know if that's real or not either. But he does certain things to get the enemies to think that something is going on when it's really not going on, like this supposed kind of feud between him and Netanyahu. But he already said he knew what Israel was going to do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he did. He did.
But I also think it looked like for a while they were on the best terms, because I think he used that when he went over to the Arab nations to start working deals with them, because he thought he wasn't on the best terms with Netanyahu. He's a really good chess player. He makes very strategic moves. He's very smart about when he makes those moves and how he does it in every way, shape, or form. God is giving him divine wisdom and knowledge, understanding.
Yep.
But it's limited still. There's so much more that God is going to do through him. He just has to do the last part that God needs him to do, and then he'll take off like a rocket.
And that's getting on his knees and looking to the Lord only. Literally.
Yes.
Yep.
And really seeking God and what God wants him to do, and not what advisors and specialists and all these people are telling him what he should do. And he's got to do this. He's got to be the full David that God needs him to be. David didn't have him, defeat Goliath before David had that understanding and really had that understanding. This is not me that can fight this giant. It's only God that can do it through me and with me, not me by myself. And so he didn't rely on his own strength. And so with this, I do believe, without a shadow of a doubt, he's going to get this information. He's going to get this revelation, because God's going to make a way. And it's going to be the perfect timing of God when he gets on his knees and he realizes why he's God's chosen David.
That's right. He's got a plan for Melania, too. I had a prophetic word about
Yes, he does.
Melania and President Trump last week. And it's key. He's got to get on his knees and seek the Lord, because he's still got some people around him that are not good. And I'm not going to say the name, but one of the other ones that you were concerned about, I felt that in the last week or two, too. Yep.
I said it was a wolf?
Yep.
That one?
Something's not right there.
Yeah.
Yep. Something's not right there.
Yeah. I can't unsee that one either. And I don't see that in a lot of people's faces on a continual basis, but those two by far, every time I've seen them, I've seen a wolf on that man's face and I've seen a snake on Elon's every time for years. The last year or two. Elon's been a little bit longer than this other one. I can't unsee it. And I had to just pray. I remember that there was a prophetic word I gave to Clay on his way to the Republican National Convention.
He told me
and
about
I
that.
said, this is what the Lord was said. And I wanted you to be aware of it. And he even said, that confirms what I believe myself. And then he gave me some more information on it. I haven't mentioned the person's name publicly yet because I'm praying that he turns, but he is also connected to Bilderbergs, and Bilderbergs are not our friend.
Nope.
And they are the secret societies, or one of the biggest ones. I think the Illuminati, and then it goes to Bilderbergs, or they could be on the same level. I don't know. But he's got a couple different people in Bilderbergs in his vicinity, in his presence, that are out for their own agenda and to sabotage him. And so that's why we had to continue to pray that not only the right political leaders are next to him and political strategists are next to him, but spiritual, because the spiritual needs to overpower this political. It has to, because unless the spiritual does it, this political will still have the reign, and it can't.
Yeah. Yep. He's got some good pastors around him. But I don't know of anybody that's hears from the Lord that's around him to tell him this is what the Lord says. I don't think he has anybody like that. I haven't heard of anybody.
God did say about, it was like a year ago, he said that he was going to spiritually cause a restructuring of his spiritual advisors, or whatever you want to call that. There'll be a restructuring of who's there, because he's going to expose the people who are there for themselves. And there are people that are there for God specifically and have that humble heart. And we know two of them that are there doing it for the right reason, but the majority are not.
Right. Yeah. And I think I mentioned this before. This was a couple years ago. He is very curious about the prophetic. I know somebody that was sitting at a table with President Trump, and this was the person that told me the story. And he's researching some stuff about Kim Clement. And your name popped up, my name popped up. Eric Trump came in and says, I know both of them. They're great people. But his father was really intrigued about the prophetic of that particular prophecy. It was Kim Clement, and I think it was just Kim Clement at that time. So he wanted to know more. He was digging at that time, and I hadn't heard anything since.
He's going to be digging some more. I know it. I know that God is going to pull on his heartstrings, and he's going to start pulling him in that direction of the prophetic, because there's something he's going to run into that he cannot do by himself. It's just true.
Yep.
There's something that he's going to run into that is going to turn him to more of the prophetic, and is going to turn to him more to somebody that he needs to find the full truth of his purpose and God's plan, not just part of it. But again, that's that part where he has to get on his knees. I didn't know our names were mentioned, so that's pretty interesting. Yeah. Our names were mentioned then, but because I still have yet to meet him. I have not met him yet. But I also know it's the perfect timing of God. When I was talking to Eric and Laura one time, Trump behind the stage, and they're like, "You haven't met my dad?" I was like, "No." Like, we'll make a way. And I said, "Thank you, but it'll be the perfect timing of God when all that happens." So I know it'll be at some point. But I am excited when I do see him. I do want to go see him for a purpose. Not just the fact that I want to meet him and thank him for who he is as a president, but to meet him to say what God needs him to hear.
Well, we were supposed to, and it was sabotaged.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But God will turn that around. And I know that God's going to turn that around. And even though it was sabotaged, I truly believe that there was a reason for it And when the perfect timing of God happens, it will be greater than what it was if we already had done that at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that he's saving it for a specific time and a purpose.
I do too.
He wants sabotage. I've been praying for vindication with that. And because when the enemy tries to delay things or to stop things or sabotage things, God can turn something that Satan meant for total harm or destruction and turn it into something totally good. We've been standing on it, and that's what we're praying for.
Exactly.
God's gonna turn it. I think at a time too, and President Trump may not have been ready to hear what had to be heard at that particular time. So that's the reason why it was postponed. But I do believe it will happen.
I do too, and I think we're really close to that time. Again, I'm not a prophet. I don't hold that office, but the Lord does speak to me. He gave me a pretty powerful prophetic word on Thursday, and it had a lot it was mainly around President Trump, his David.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's ever told me, he called him his David to me before, and he brought up Melania as well, having a tender heart, and that they're watching, but they shouldn't be watching us. They need to be seeking him. Mm-hmm. That's what God's exact words were.
Yeah, he's going to use not only President Trump and Melania, that there's a special, couple members and their family that God also. I actually gave a word to one of them, and God it was very, very highly about what he was saying to him. And he did reach out to me after I, had given it to him. And there were certain things that was confirmed of what I heard that was happening that I wouldn't have known unless God said. And then God also gave him some encouragement as well. So it was really fun to hear it, and not only to hear it, but to give it to him. And God has a lot for them. And God also had told me, and not only prophetic words that I've given out, but he's going to restore them of what's been stolen from them. He's going to vindicate their name, and he's going to restore all the finances stolen from them, all the stuff they've gone in, and the persecution and destroying of their name and their businesses and everything. God is going to give it back. Plus a lot.
Plus a lot, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I said something to him one time, similar to that I had a prophetic word about something he would be doing in the future. And I remember looking at him, and he's always pretty straightforward in his face. His eyes got really big. He was shocked to hear that. And I said, well, I don't know when that's going to be, but it's in God's timing. I also believe that restoration will come to Mike Lindell as well.
Yes, 100%. There was a prophetic word that God gave about vindication for Mike Lindell, and he would be restored. So not only vindication, but a restoration, a retroactive restoration. He said that about Rudy Giuliani. We've been standing and praying about that for our friend Clay as well.
Yep.
And everyone who was persecuted, wrongfully accused, and went through all this time and struggles of going through court case after court case after court case, the finances that they were taken from him. I'm praying that Mike Lindell not only has My Pillow, but gets something else that's a very, really well-known company that I know is going to be ripped from somebody else's hands. I pray that he gets it.
Did you get a prophecy about what company it is?
No, I have been praying about what company. Sorry, Amazon.
Wow. Interesting. Because Mike Lindell doesn't even know this. There's an opportunity that Mike Lindell is going to be hit with once this is over. To expand My Pillow into doing something else that would take on, I'd just say Nike and shoes and apparel and that and more, and be produced here in the United States of America. We're having those conversations right now. So God's up to some good stuff.
He's up to some good stuff. That's why I want to give the people like Mike Lindell and Rudy and Clay and President Trump and all of his family and everybody here in this country. We've been going through a lot. But God is going to restore us just like he restored the children of Israel. And as we leave from this establishment's control, God is not leaving us empty-handed. We will be restored. We will be vindicated. And God has the final say. He has his way. We win. God wins. Light wins. It's exciting time to be alive.
Light wins.
Diệp không cũng rời khỏi phòng của nàng. Hoàng Tuyền lão tổ không ngừng quát lên trong đầu của hắn. Phương pháp này của ngươi là gì thế? Là phù chú thật sao? Phù hiệu trên đó là cái gì? Vì sao lão tổ ta cho tới bây giờ chưa thấy qua loại phù này? Nếu là lúc trước, Diệp không nói hắn biết rõ vài loại phương pháp chế tạo thượng phẩm linh phù. Hoàng Tuyền lão tổ còn bán tín bán nghi, hiện tại đã hoàn toàn tin tưởng. Không nói cái khác, chỉ phù chú có thể trừ phong hàn, trên đại lục này cơ hồ là không có, nhưng lá phù này lại xuất hiện trước mặt của hắn, cho nên hắn vô cùng kinh ngạc. Tiểu huynh đệ, Diệp đạo hữu, lão đệ, hắc, ngươi sẽ dạy cho lão tổ ta mà. Hoàng Tuyền lão tổ lại mặt dày mày dạn muốn học. Diệp không phiền muộn nói ra, người tu tiên cũng không sinh bệnh, ngươi học cái này làm gì? Hoàng Tuyền lão tổ cười nói, học hỏi trụ cột mới có thể hiểu được những thứ cao siêu hơn, ta muốn học từ đầu. Lão gia hỏa này lòng dạ đúng là hiểm độc. Diệp không nhịn được nói ra, không dạy, ta không có lợi gì cả. Hoàng Tuyền lão tổ cả giận nói ra, ai nói không có lợi, hiện tại ta sẽ cho ngươi chút chỗ tốt. Diệp không có hứng thú, hỏi, a hát, là chỗ tốt gì, nói nghe một chút. Ngươi bây giờ bế quan 5 ngày phải ra một lần, quá phiền toái, lão tổ ta sẽ giúp ngươi luyện một ít tích cốt đan. Có cái này, ngươi sẽ không cần vì ăn cơm mà phiền não nữa. Tích cốt đan, đúng là thứ tốt, luyện chế phiền toái không? Diệp không cảm thấy chủ ý này không tệ, có tích cốt đan, thời gian tu luyện sẽ dài hơn. Hoàng Tuyền lão tổ cười gạc gạc, nói, không khó luyện, chỉ cần chuẩn bị một ít hạt giống, sau đó tìm được trái của Khang Lương Thụ, lão tổ ta sẽ có thể giúp ngươi luyện đan. Khang Lương Thụ, đó là cái đồ chơi gì? Diệp không hỏi. Hoàng Tuyền lão tổ cười cạc cạc nói ra, ngươi không biết thật sao? Ngươi tiểu tử này, thật sự là, cái người khác không biết thì ngươi lại biết, người khác đều biết, ngươi lại ngu ngốc không biết, người khác cũng biết. Diệp không mở miệng hỏi Tiểu Hồng đi ở phía sau, Khang Lương Thụ là cái gì? Ngươi biết không? Khang Lương Thụ. Tiểu Hồng sững sờ, sau đó che miệng nói ra, có Khang Lương hoa bái, hoa của Khang Lương Thụ, phía sau hoa viên trong phủ chúng ta có loại hoa này. Tiểu Hồng nói xong, sắc mặt ảm đạm một ít, cúi đầu nói, đương nhiên những đại thiếu gia như này không biết Khang Lương hoa bái là phải. Vì sao thế? Tiểu Hồng diễn giải, trên Khang Lương Thụ có quả, nó có thể làm đồ ăn, mà loại quả này phi thường cứng rắn, hái xuống phải dùng nước ngâm mấy ngày mới có thể dùng làm lương thực mà ăn. Hơn nữa chỉ cần ăn một chút sẽ no bụng. Diệp không nói ra, đây là thứ tốt nha, có phải là ăn rất ngon hay không? Ta chưa ăn qua đấy. Tiểu Hồng cười nói, cho nên nói đám đại thiếu gia các ngài không biết được khó khăn của dân gian. Bởi vì trái của Khang Lương Thụ phi thường khó ăn, vô cùng thô ráp, kẹt ở hông miệng, căn bản là không nuốt trôi. Còn có một loại hương vị đắng chát, tuy có thể đỡ đói, nhưng khó mà nuốt xuống. Ngay cả heo cũng không ăn nó, cũng chỉ có ở những vùng đất hoang phế nhiều năm, những người đói bụng không có biện pháp gì mới đi ăn thứ đồ chơi này. Trách không được gọi là Khang Lương Thụ. Thứ này có độc sao? Diệp không lại hỏi. Không có độc. Diệp không có chút không tin. Đã không có độc, tại sao lại khó ăn? Thứ này rất dễ dàng no bụng, nên mật độ rất lớn, sợi tương đối nhiều, cần phải nhai nhiều, có lẽ có thể nuốt đấy. Diệp không nói xong lại khua tay nói ra, mang ta đi nhìn xem, ta cũng muốn nếm thử thứ này có hương vị gì. Được. Tiểu Hồng đi phía trước dẫn đường, xuyên qua một hành lang dài gấp khúc, đã nhìn thấy xa xa có một mảnh hoa khoe màu đua sắc, đẹp không sao tả xiết. Một hồi gió thổi tới, trong không khí còn mang theo hương hoa nhàn nhạt. Ngươi cười cái gì? Đột nhiên Diệp không phát hiện Tiểu Hồng vừa đi vừa cười trộm, cười con nhà giàu có tiền không biết gian nan của người nghèo, lại muốn chủ động nếm thử Khang Lương Thụ, đến lúc đó thiếu gia sẽ biết nó khó ăn thế nào. Tiểu Hồng che miệng cười nói, ta là có con nhà giàu có tiền sao? Diệp không chỉ vào mũi của mình, vô tội nói ra, nếu như người ngoài không rõ nói lời này còn được, nhưng mà ngươi cũng tận mắt nhìn thấy hai mẫu tử chúng ta trong thời gian khó khăn, sao có thể nói ta là con nhà giàu có tiền chứ? Tiểu Hồng phản bác nói ra, tuy trước kia thiếu gia đã có thời gian gian nan, nhưng thiếu gia đã khi nào phải trải qua tư vị ăn đói mặc rách chưa? Cái cảnh mãn điền hoang vu, khắp nơi trên đất là người chết đói, đi khắp nơi không tìm được chút thức ăn nào, đó mới thật sự là khổ đấy. Diệp không vốn định hỏi lại, ngươi hưởng qua chưa? Nhưng khi nhìn biểu lộ của Tiểu Hồng, xem ra nàng đã hưởng qua, bằng không thì không có cảm xúc sâu như vậy. Rất nhanh, Diệp không đã nhìn thấy Khang Lương Thụ, cây này quả nhiên cao lớn, có chút tương tự như cây dừa ở địa cầu, cũng trách không được lại trồng nó ở hoa viên. Cây này cao lớn thẳng tắp, cảm nhận rất là không tệ. Trên tán cây cũng có rất nhiều hoa Khang Lương Thụ nằm cùng một chỗ, ở xa nhìn thấy giống như một đám mây hồng, thật cao nhã. Diệp không đứng dưới tàng cây, ngửa đầu quan sát, trông thấy dưới những bông hoa màu hồng là những quả to tròn màu xanh. Đúng nha, muốn hái cũng không dễ dàng đâu. Tiểu Hồng cũng ngẩng đầu lên, động tác này càng hiện ra hai tòa núi đôi cao lớn vượt trội của nàng. Tiểu tử, đừng nhìn nha, ngươi không nên sử dụng pháp thuật hái những trái cây này. Đợi buổi tối lão tổ ta sẽ đi hái. Hoàng Tuyền lão tổ không hay nói chuyện lúc này cũng mở miệng. Thôi đi, chuyện này cũng cần tới ngươi đi làm thì ta là cái dạng gì chứ? Diệp không cười lạnh một tiếng, đề khí, sau đó quát lên một tiếng, đột ngột từ mặt đất nhảy lên, giống như du long, động tác kia vô cùng xoái, đẹp trai, lăng không đề khí, thân thể hơi xoay tròn, lại vượt qua một trường, trường bào nhẹ bay lên, Diệp Không cũng vững vàng đứng ở trên đầu cành của Kham Lương Thủ. Rất đẹp trai nha. Tiểu Hồng ngẩng đầu nhìn Diệp Không trên cây, trong đôi mắt to tràn ngập nhu tình ôn nhu, mà Hoàng Tuyền lão tổ thì là kinh hô hét lên, Ảnh Vũ, đây là Ảnh Vũ, ngươi, rốt cuộc ngươi là người nào? Diệp Không biết rõ Hoàng Tuyền lão tổ bị tộc nhân Ảnh tộc đuổi giết qua, nên liền giải thích, yên tâm, ta không phải người Ảnh tộc, ta chỉ trong một lần ngẫu nhiên hiểu thấu đáo một khối Ảnh Vũ ghi chép võ công mà thôi. Thì ra là như vậy. Hoàng Tuyền lão tổ gật gật đầu, lúc này mới hơi yên lòng một chút. Bát thiếu gia, ta có thể đi lên không? Tiểu Hồng đứng ở bên dưới, dùng hai tay làm thành loa la lên, đương nhiên có thể. Diệp Không mỉm cười, vỗ túi trữ vật, một đầu dây leo dán mua màu xanh xuất hiện ở trong tay. Hoàng Tuyền lão tổ nhìn một cái, mắng, tù lung thảo mà ngươi dùng để tán gái, thế mà ngươi cũng nghĩ ra được Bát thiếu gia, ta không thể bò lên trên Tiểu Hồng thân mặc một cái váy màu xanh, dùng dây leo quấn quanh người một vòng thế nhưng cuối cùng vẫn không dám bò lên. Thế mà cũng không hiểu sao, Diệp Không hô lên, ngươi ngồi ở giữa dây leo, ta kéo ngươi lên. Hi hi, Tiểu Hồng cười khanh khách, xốc lại váy, ngồi lên dây leo, hai tay nắm hai bên của sợi dây, cảm thụ được dây leo càng ngày càng cao. Ha, giống như đang chơi nhảy dây vậy. Ta không ngờ ở trên cao lại mát mẻ như vậy. Tiểu Hồng phát ra tiếng cười thanh thúy giống như tinh linh. Hai cái chân nhỏ vui sướng đá mép váy màu trắng, vui vẻ giống như tiểu hài tử. Wow, thật cao. Tiểu Hồng đứng ở trên cành cây, nhìn xuống mặt đất, nhịn không được sắc mặt trắng bệch, bắp chân run rẩy. Yên tâm, đụng vào người ta thì không có chuyện gì. Diệp Không thò tay nắm lấy cổ tay của nàng, không nghĩ tới Tiểu Hồng sợ hãi vậy mà khi ôm chặt lấy tay của hắn, lập tức xuất hiện cảm giác nhu nhũ mềm mại, toàn bộ thân thể dựa vào, một loại cảm giác kích động không cách nào diễn tả được sinh ra. Diệp Không nhịn không được mà ôm lấy cái eo nhỏ của nàng, cảm thụ được hai khối thịt đang ép tới, mà trên những sợi tóc nhỏ bé còn mang theo hương khí. Mùi hương con gái còn thơm hơn hương hoa, mùi hương của con gái làm cho nội tâm của hắn cảm thấy nhu hòa hơn. Tiểu Hồng tỷ, hôm nay ngươi biết không ít bí mật của ta Đột nhiên Diệp Không hít sâu một hơi, trầm giọng nói ra. Tiểu Hồng giống như không cảm nhận được khí tức nguy hiểm như có như không kia. Nàng đang dựa đầu vào trong ngực của Diệp Không, thấp giọng nói ra, Bát thiếu gia, Tiểu Hồng vĩnh viễn không hại ngài. Ánh mắt của Diệp Không nhu hòa hơn không ít, lại nói, ngươi tiếp tục như vậy, ngày sau sẽ biết thêm bí mật của ta thấy ngươi sẽ về bẩm báo với chủ tử của mình. Về sau không nên nghe ngóng như thế. Tiểu Hồng nguyện ý vì Bát thiếu gia bảo thủ bí mật. Tiểu Cầm có thể làm được, Tiểu Tỳ cũng có thể làm được. Tiểu Hồng thấp giọng nói ra, giống như nói mỏ nhưng tràn đầy chân tình. Vậy được rồi. Diệp Không buông Tiểu Hồng ra, để nàng ngồi xuống, sau đó hái xuống một đóa hoa lớn của Kham Lương Thủ, che lên đầu nàng, biến thành cái mũ màu đỏ. Khanh khách, Bát thiếu gia, đẹp không? Hôm nay là ngày vui vẻ nhất trong đời của Tiểu Hồng đấy. Đẹp lắm. Diệp Không nhàn nhạt cười, đột nhiên lại nói ra, Tiểu Hồng, ngươi đã một lòng bảo thủ bí mật của ta, vậy ta sẽ nói cho ngươi biết, kỳ thật ta là một tu tiên giả, người quỷ kế và độc ác nhiều hơn sức tưởng tượng của ta. Hoàng Tuyền lão tổ nói ở trong đầu của Diệp Không, chỉ trắc nghiệm một chút Diệp Không cười, hỏi, đổi thành người Tương Nam đại lục khác, sợ rằng còn độc ác hơn so với ta đấy. Thời gian vừa qua dù ta ở chung với ngươi không dài nhưng ta cảm thấy ngươi không giống với người Tương Nam, ngươi hẳn là giống như người của Ảnh tộc hơn. Người Ảnh tộc có dạng gì? Ngay thẳng, giảng tình nghĩa, tôn thờ bạn chí cốt, có tinh thần trọng nghĩa. Diệp Không cười nói, ta không có vĩ đại như vậy, ngươi xem trọng ta rồi. Thì thật ta chính là lưu manh, ngươi hiểu không? Đó chính là lưu manh trên phố đấy, ủng hộ chỉ với 1 click và 5 S. Chương 105, trắc nghiệm, trách không được ngươi cùng cấu kết với các huynh đệ của Tiểu Cầm làm bậy. Thì ra là một nhà du côn. Hoàng Tuyền lão tổ nói thầm. Diệp Không cũng không để ý tới hắn, nói tiếp, ta không phải là bổ đầu, ta mặc kệ cái gì là trái nghĩa, cái gì không phải chính nghĩa, ta chỉ biết là thấy thuận mắt ta sẽ giúp hắn, không thuận mắt ta sẽ đánh hắn, muốn hại ta, phản bội hoặc là lừa gạt ta sẽ không nương tay. Xem ra ngươi không phải là người Tương Vương tiếc ngọc nha. Hoàng Tuyền lão tổ thở dài, nói ra, vậy cũng chỉ có cầu nguyện cho Tiểu Hồng sẽ không bán ngươi. Giờ phút này Diệp Không đã dán ẩn thân phù, đang đứng trong phòng của Nhị Thái Thái, ngồi ở bên cạnh một cái bàn kính lớn. Nhị Thái Thái đang cầm chén nhỏ, nhai từ từ nuốt chậm chậm, nhìn ra được nàng đã trải qua huấn luyện từ lúc nhỏ. Lúc ăn cơm cũng rất tao nhã, không có một chút âm thanh nào từ trong miệng phát ra. Ai, nhị nương của ngươi xem ra cũng là mỹ nữ nha, còn là mỹ nữ phu nhân, ta thích nhất là phu nhân. Các nàng trước mặt người khác càng cao ngạo, ở trên giường càng dâm đãng. Hoàng Tuyền lão tổ thật đúng là không khác gì gia súc. Trông thấy nữ nhân là kích động, Diệp Không có phản ứng. Hoàng Tuyền lão tổ mất mặt, lại hỏi, nếu như Tiểu Hồng báo cáo chuyện ngươi là tu tiên giả với bà nương này, ngươi thật sự giết các nàng sao? Đúng vậy, ta đã cho các nàng một lần cơ hội, đã rất nhân từ. Vậy đến lúc đó, trước khi giết, Hoàng Tuyền lão tổ cười hắc hắc nói ra, có thể cho ta sờ qua mấy nơi của các nàng hay không? Ân, giết xong sờ cũng được. Diệp không cười khổ, nói, ngươi đổi tên thành biến thái lão tổ đi, hoặc là dâm đãng lão tổ cũng được. Hoàng Tuyền lão tổ cả giận nói ra, ngươi biết ta bao lâu không có đụng nữ nhân rồi không? 10 vạn năm, đổi thành ngươi, đoán chừng một cục đá có hình âm vật đàn bà, ngươi cũng sờ mó đấy. Thôi, đừng cái. Diệp không nhìn Hoàng Tuyền lão tổ nói một câu, đem ánh mắt của mình tập trung vào nhị nữ. Tiểu Hồng, hôm nay là thời gian tiểu tử kia xuất quan. Nhị thái thái buông bát xứ xuống, mở miệng hỏi, vâng. Tiểu Hồng cung kính đứng ở bên cạnh nàng, cúi đầu nói chuyện cũng rất nhỏ giọng. Vậy ngươi có cách